how long it's been since 87. It's coming. With women, we got about 50 other things we're doing, and all of that. But I really do want to write this up. I would love to write up the interviews just the way they were given to me, and then sort of put this introduction that I've been doing on it so that you can just hear these women from their own voices. So yes, I do plan to do this as a book under the title Return to the Source, the Wisdom of Our Foremothers. Yes. That's another question. Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering, we seem to be victims of the system because we're constrained by the legal system. And one of the things that's happened that I've become aware of is that since Spock, the laws changed in such a way to constrain the behavior of parents from doing some of the things that the parents did early on in our development. What advice do you give to parents, young parents, of circumventing that reality?
Well, obviously, a part of this is a retraining and a socialization. I really don't think that other people know better how to raise our children than we know ourselves. And so what's happening is that a lot of people are coming into our own space and telling us how to raise our children. I think that if you are really grounded in your own culture, you have to stand on that. And some of the abuse that's happening to our children is because these young parents do not know how to socialize their children. And that is this whole physical thing of like hitting somebody with your hand or hitting somebody with another shoe, more devastating than the switch that we were talking about. But at the same time, I know mothers today who say, well, listen, let me take you to DIFAS. In New Jersey, it's the Division of Youth and Family Services. Let me take you to DIFAS because first let me do what I'm going to do. See, we can't let our children threaten us by, if you do this, I'm going to call DIFAS. But I mean, if you're grounded and you know that what you're doing is out of a love and a commitment to see the children raised to be whole, then you stand on those grounds. Yes. Very well.
The spirituality of the church is so strong in the community, and to build upon that as well as interrelating that with the community of the school so that they can thrive together and redevelop as a community accordingly. What ways can you see that working in perhaps in Newark and through your observations of other places you spoke?
Well, I think the church can do much more than what it is presently doing. Historically, the church has been the center of the African American community. And just about everything came out of the church. A lot of churches today, I know, I can't say about Oakland, but I know a lot of areas, the church nowadays is just open on Sundays. And if you are a member of a church, it seems to me that you've got to insist that the church is open possibly 7 days a week, doing things for the community. Obviously, the churches that are in this neighborhood can become extensions of this school in terms of some of the parents and things becoming a part of this. There's so many things. But if we do not hold our ministers accountable beyond Sunday morning, they're just going to do Sunday morning. So we've got to do this link up. Some of the things in terms of training our young people. If the church was doing some of those things. I know when I was growing up, my mother worked all kinds of jobs. But in the summer, the pastors evidently got together and they would do what was called Bible school in the summer. But they would set up that schedule so that there was no conflict. And so that every 2 weeks, a different church would be doing this 2-week Bible, and so that my sister and I was able to go the whole summer to various Bible schools without ever having to have this babysitter because these churches had done that. But obviously we need to bring back the church's community involvement. And I think the people who can do that are people who belong to these churches and who insist that they do this. Yes?
I'm one of the faculty here at McClellan High School, and I would like to know how can we as faculty shift the minds of the young ladies who are in the school today back to their central role in the African society, because so many women today don't see themselves as the center. They feel that they are defined and controlled by men.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Because you see, we are so bombarded with a different kind of a perspective on the realities of women and what women ought to do. So one of the things that my group, the International Black Women's Congress, does is that we've got a rites of passage program. We can only touch so many girls. So I mean, we need as many rites of passage programs as we possibly can get, because every girl ought to be under some leadership women development training. It's in those on a consistent basis every week, 2-3 times a week, that you see these girls, that you begin to tell them about what you know and what other women know in terms of how you should act and how you should behave. So that is one small thing. Obviously, what we're finding is that the mothers of these girls are also young. They're like 27, 28, 29 years old. So some of them also need rites of passage training. So we can't just do the girls, we also have to do their mothers. Schools could reach out to do some of these things, but it also means that, you might not be under your contract. And a lot of teachers aren't doing things unless it's written into their contract. And so that means that part that we could be using, teachers and their knowledge in terms of helping beyond the confounds of 8:30 to 2:45 or something, we don't have. Could probably bring more parents into the schools. I know in a lot of schools parents don't feel like they're welcome, but I know that's not true in this school, because I know the kinds of changes that you're trying to bring about. But more parents walk in these halls so that the kids know that on any one day there's going to be like 10 parents walking around in here. There's things that children will not do when they know that their mothers and their fathers, their aunts and their grandparents are going to be here. That can change some of the behavior, and just sort of analyzing some of these videos that these girls are watching and explaining to them that this cannot be a description of you, but it's a commitment, and it's little by little. But as long as you continue to persist, it might take you not this generation of students, but the next generation before you really begin to see some changes. But at some point, students will know that this is the way you behave in this school. These are the things that the people in this school believe in, and you can have an impact. But it's not an easy fix. It takes a great commitment. You see, I'm going to take 3 more questions. I see 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go, yes, young man. Okay, look at the light.
Think about the so-called women's liberation, how it impacts, devastated the Black community, the crime of families, when the civil rights movement was coming to a close. And this particular movement came in when the Black women had a chance to work their own home instead of someone else's home. And they said that men are not needed at all. The job was to the Europeans who are on there and had a house education. How it devastated the Black community in that way.
I think a lot of the discussion about the women's movement has been sort of an intellectual discussion about women's issues by a very limited number of women. I mean, and if you read some of their literature, this is constantly being said. I don't know the extent to which the women's movement has impacted the vast majority of white women in this country. So I think that African American women have always been on the peripheral of the women's movement. I think that if we looked at what has caused the kind of break that I see